I wholeheartedly voted for Clinton. I mean, there's just no way. But Bob Dole was certainly, while I thought he was a good guy, I didn't necessarily agree with his positions on things. But the Republicans really didn't run a campaign where they were campaigning for things that they were for. They were campaigning against Clinton. I can remember Bob Dole getting on CNN and he was like, I can't believe the American people would want 4 more years of this, you know, speaking to all the scandals. Like they were trying to just bring up scandal after scandal after scandal. Jennifer Flowers, Paula Jones, Whitewater, all this stuff. I mean, my God. Didn't work though. Americans still voted for Clinton, and there was no way that Dole was going to win this election. One of the interesting things in 1996, after he was elected again, in order to steal even more thunder from the Republicans, he kind of became a Republican on certain issues. On one of them, called welfare reform, Bill Clinton changed the rules of welfare. You know what welfare is, right? Welfare is when a person receives money from the government, correct? Well, the old way of doing it was that a person could receive money for an unlimited time from the government. Clinton changed that to appeal to more moderate people in the United States, more conservative people, and they reformed welfare so that it was now you could be on welfare for 2 years before you could get get off of it. So the limit was now set for 2 years. A lot of Democrats were like, dude, what are you doing? We don't like you for doing this. Clinton was a very good politician. He understood that public opinion polls favored that, like the video said. He's one of the first presidents to really study the polls and kind of following what the polls really said. Okay? And some people would think that's a good thing, and other people would probably think that's kind of a bad thing. Okay? It's a good thing in the sense that, hey, you're in touch with what the people want, but it's a bad thing if you just do whatever the people say. And that's what Clinton kind of did. And so the Republicans generally didn't like him for that. Democrats didn't, but his public opinion polls went up. The cool thing about Clinton's presidency was that for the first time ever, not the first time ever, but the first time in a long time, you started to have this thing called a budget surplus. See, now, you guys don't know what that is, because we're used to deficits. But in Clinton's presidency, you actually had the government taking in more money than it was spending. Oh, no way. And how did he do it? Easy. His first couple of years in office, they taxed the rich at a higher rate, and they cut government spending a little more. When you do that, you create surpluses. He's the last president to have a budget surplus. Not Obama, not Bush, not the Bush before him, not Reagan. He's the last president to have an actual surplus when he left office. Unbelievable, right? I think Clinton kind of understood the concept of math. You know what I mean? Our government sometimes doesn't understand that. Yes? I don't know for sure, actually. I'm sure that probably the U.S. government might have been involved doing things like that, but I don't know for sure if that's what it is. That's a good question, though. Another reason why the surpluses are going up is not only because of the tax structure, but because the 90s is just such a great decade. Any decade with Seinfeld is good, right? Friends, you know what I'm saying? It is awesome. Not for that reason. But there is an innovation technologically which is driving the American economy. Do you know what it is? Technological innovation. Yes, the internet, superhighway, right? And back in the day, in the 90s, the internet was a new thing. People didn't know what an internet was before like 1992, 93. I sure didn't. We didn't have high-speed internet. We had dial-up, which is like through the phone line. You'd be waiting for that web page forever. Nowadays, you guys are so spoiled with your megabytes per second. Megabytes per second? What? We had kilobytes per second. It's nothing. But there's new businesses sprouting up all over the place, new startups, .com industries in Silicon Valley, like, stuff like, I could name a whole bunch, like eBay, Google, all that stuff started in the 90s. And I think Clinton was riding a lot of the success of all of that, and the economy was doing very, very well. So, and in the 90s, it's the exact opposite of the 70s. In the 70s, we had, what was the word that started with an S that was really bad? Stagflation. High inflation, high unemployment. Well, in the 90s, it's the exact opposite. It's low inflation, low unemployment. It seems like everybody has a job that needs it. It was a great, great economic time. Probably one of the best economic times since the 1950s. And that's what's causing the surpluses to go up, right? Because if you have more people working, there's more people paying taxes, right? It adds up, adds up, adds up. So Clinton's doing real well by 96, 97, and oh, dang it, there comes Monica Lewinsky. And the whole reason this happened, ladies and gentlemen, is because Bill Clinton, well, to say the least, was interested in lots of other things. But you got to understand, too, I'm not defending him, but the reason this happened was because Lewinsky was an intern. She was working inside the White House during the government shutdown. And Bill Clinton was often alone in the White House. And of course, when you're alone and there's a really beautiful young woman, it's kind of like, I'm reading through the Bible right now, and I'm like, man, this is really obscene stuff. I mean, you're looking at King David, and he sees Bathsheba. Powerful men fall for women that are outside of their marriage sometimes, and it happens, and it's unfortunate, and it's, not a way you want to run your marriage, but unless you're into that. No, but basically that's what happens. Now, the question is, it's not that he did it, because he did it. Okay, he had sexual relations with Monica Lewinsky, even though he clearly went on national TV, and with that famous Clinton look, he's like, I did not have sexual relations with that woman, Miss Lewinsky. I didn't do it. I mean, you can tell. I mean, look at me. Bill Clinton. Bill Clinton. Unfortunately for him, more and more investigations come out. And what the Republicans are trying to do is something that, looking back on it, is probably one of the stupidest things that they could have done. Because, remember, Clinton's popularity was really good in about 97, 98. His popularity was great. Pretty much due to the economy. But in lying about having an affair, the Republicans figured, hey man, this is the way to nail it. We're going to get this slippery fish finally. We're going to catch him, we're going to hook him. No way he's getting out of this. Right? So, the impeachment trial begins in 1998. And it is a circus. Like, if you were alive back then, I don't know how old you guys were. Some of you are older. Some of you were young. I watched it on TV. On TV, you saw the Republicans come out. And they were trying to convince the American people that lying under oath about having sex with an intern is an impeachable offense. Equivalent to treason. Equivalent to what you call in the Constitution a high crime and a misdemeanor. Really? Lying about having sex sex with an intern? That's the same as, oh, I don't know, giving away nuclear launch codes to the Chinese, or trying to cover up a burglary, like in the Watergate scandal. Is it the same thing? Where's your moral compass, class? Are you there too? I mean, is it, I'm not defending what he did, but I'm just saying, is that really impeachable? And the trial, of course, made it all the way up to the Senate. Now, under the constitutional rules, you're impeached by the House. Okay, since the House is basically made up of Republicans, that was easy. They just nailed it, right? But once it got to the Senate, the Senate's a little more divided. It's not dominated by Republicans. It's like they didn't think it was an impeachable offense. Now, there were some that did, but they were like, this is ridiculous. And in the end, the Republicans probably wasted the better part of a whole year going after something that they couldn't do, which is get rid of a president who was very popular and somebody that they just straight up didn't like. It's really unbelievable to me that they even tried to do that. But I guess everybody has an axe to grind, right? Yeah. So I don't know what Monica Lewinsky's doing now. She's on Dancing with the Stars, or what is she doing? She's like on a reality kind of show, right? Isn't she? We're not going to hire you because of the past. So anyways, it's funny because Clinton, honestly, after the Monica Lewinsky trial, in the late 90s, after the trial's over in about 99, 2000, his presidency is pretty much done. But what's funny is he exits being the president at the highest public approval ratings of any president that's leaving office. The highest. Just unbelievable. I think it was like almost 80%, something like that. Like the public approval was that high. Like Obama is like 47. So half of America hates him, half of America loves him. But Bill, 8 out of 10 people are like, I like Bill. People that have scandals on a daily basis, such as the Europeans, were laughing at us during this whole trial. They were like, that's nothing. We have that all the time. Makes for good theater. So, the highest of all time. And you would think that this would have helped out Vice Presidential candidate Al Gore in the election of 2000. Now, okay, let's look at the political situation in 2000. America's doing well. Economy doing great. Budget surpluses. Oh, it's like, how can things get worse? Things are only better. And then you got this interesting election of two guys who frankly didn't excite anybody besides their parties that they were representing. George W. Bush from Texas, son of President George H. Bush, former owner of the Texas Rangers, that didn't go well, former governor of Texas, conservative, appealing to those, Republican, evangelical conservatives. Al Gore, vice president for Bill Clinton. Al Gore was from Tennessee over here. You guys might know Al Gore for other things that he's done in his life, such as, does anyone know the famous movie and book that he has kind of basically authored? An Inconvenient Truth. What's the inconvenient truth about? Global warming. So yes, after he lost this election, which he did, but he'll contend that he actually won it. He had to have something else to do. But to be honest with you, in 2000, and I'm just not speaking as a Democrat here, because you guys know me, I am. And I voted for Gore. I'll admit it. But neither of these candidates excited anyone. Like, they were playing to their, what you call their base. The Republicans were pretty much on fire about George W. Bush, but even some people in his own party thought he was basically a knucklehead. Okay? As you guys probably know, George W. Bush was not a well-spoken man. Okay? He often made up words when he spoke. I think he gets a bad rap for that because he was definitely a guy with a great sense of humor and a lot of fun. But Al Gore, you would think, being the Democrat of one of the most popular presidents in history, you would think that would propel him to victory. But it just, for whatever reason, people were not completely sold on him either. And that just shows you how close this election was. Now, if you look really close, which you guys can't even see, Al Gore wins the popular vote by a Fresno, okay? Basically about 500,000. Yeah, let's just look at the numbers. Bush gets 50,456,169, okay? Al Gore gets 50,996,116. That's a full 500,000, almost 500,000 votes above what Bush does. And Bush wins the Electoral College vote because Bush gets the threshold. Threshold to win the Electoral College is 270, and Bush gets 271. Now, raise your hands if you were alive and you remember the election of 2000. Right? You watch it on TV and you saw that night, like most people do, you watch the election returns, all the news channels were on, and it's like, yeah, it's like Gore won. Right. Like Gore won, and then they changed it. No, wait, we can't call it yet. Bush won. No, wait, Gore won. Like no one really knew what was going on. And that's where you get the controversy in Florida, which is very, very fascinating. And what I'm going to show you right now is a little bit of